Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be all about books that I'm adding to Mount TBR, aka the pile of books that I'm hoping to read specifically from my library. The list is quite long because I do have access to 2 different libraries. Definitely recommend you do so. I use the app Libby. It's free. Your library is most likely linked to it. So it's a mix of audiobook and ebooks, mostly audiobooks still because I do like using my library for that. So essentially it's a long list of books that I'm hoping to read in the upcoming months because some of the waiting lists are kind of long, and you can look forward to hearing my thoughts on them in the future. You also get a lot of sneak peeks of the challenges, specifically reading vlogs that I'm planning on doing. So if you like to know in advance what's coming up, this is the perfect video for you. And also, if there are any books in here that you know for a fact I will hate, please let me know. I can switch them up, because I have access to I think 30 books from both libraries in total on the list. So 30 books is quite a bit. Some of them I've told you in the past, so I don't think I will re-mention them, but I want to go through a couple of these just to let you know. So let's do this. Sometimes I like to get the audiobook of a book that I have on my shelf that I'm planning on reading, but scares the crap out of me. Sometimes for absolutely no good reasons. I mean, we've established that in the past. Sometimes it's because it's a big book. So yeah, a few of these are that. So let's go through them. First off, we have The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. Very, very popular, famous adult fantasy series. The first book I do have on my shelf. It's actually part of my 21 books that I want to read in 2021. We are planning on reading it together on the Patreon book club. And there's the TV show coming out eventually. So definitely high on my list, but it scares the crap out of me. For some reason, there's just so much hype. And I have a feeling I'm not going to love it. And I'm hoping I'm wrong, obviously, but I just feel like I'm never going to start it unless I try the audiobook at the same time. Most likely I will continue and finish it physically, but just to mentally prepare myself. The more I say it out loud, the more I sound crazy. But a little blockage in my head, and yeah, I got the audiobook just in case. Next we have The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Susan Collins, the prequel to The Hunger Games. And for some reason, I'm also kind of nervous about it. I feel like the reviews have been all over the place. People either love it or hate it. And I'm just intimidated. I just don't know if I'll start. And having the audiobook, I feel like will just calm me down and I can do, both at the same time, or just get over it and read it eventually. Another good example of that is Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie. I have the trilogy. This is an adult sci-fi series. And for some reason, I don't know if it's the covers or just hard sci-fi, I'm intimidated. It is what it is. I have the audiobook. I will attempt it that way. Probably will finish the series physically, but for my own comfort, I got the audiobook. I also have a couple ones that it's because I'm planning on doing a specific reading challenge, and I want to read the books that I have on my shelf, but at the same time, I can't read 5, in 1 week physically, so I want to get the audiobook so I can do 2 at the same time for specific challenges. First off, I'm not going to tell you what the challenge is going to be if I can avoid it, just to keep a little surprise, but I have The Deep by Nick Cutter as an audiobook. I'm not telling you anything else, but I just read, what was it? The Troop. Yes, I just read this one horror book by him. Did enjoy it. I'm curious to read more by him, and I do have the physical book, but I'll have the audiobook for that specific challenge that I'm not saying. Another good example of that is The Huntress by Kate Quinn, which is an historical fiction that is very popular. I have a challenge coming up probably next month that would include that one, so if you want to read it, it's going to be time with me. I also have the physical book, but again, I'm planning on reading 2 different books for that challenge, so I have to choose one as an audiobook. Another one is How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. Also not telling you what it is, but a challenge coming up probably before the summer. My list of videos ideas is always way longer than I have time to do, but this one is also priority. I want to read more by the author. I mean, I've raved about 3 of the books that I've read so far, and I believe he has 6 books. I have 3 other ones at least on my shelf, so I want to read more by him, because why do I not continue reading from authors I love? Why do we do that, I'm planning on doing another version of my Reading My Pile of Shame vlog, which you all seem to enjoy it. I need to continue these books that I put down for no reason, and one of them is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, which you remember. I should not say, why am I repeating that? This was my bathroom book, my shit book, for a little while. It hasn't been in my bathroom in a while. I'm doing fine. So it has been on my pile of shame over there for a while. I'm like 100 pages into it and I need to finish it eventually. So I thought add this one as an audiobook so I'll read something else, in that challenge, so I can have a couple books at the same time that I can hopefully finish from that pile of shame. So yes, I have that one for that. The last one I think in that specific category is The Mothers by Britt Bennett, which I have on my shelf right there. And I added it there just because I saw another book by the author that I was putting on my waiting list, and I decided to add this one too because I've had it on my shelf for a while, and sometimes, again, it just helps to start it as an audiobook. The other one I was putting was The Vanishing Half, which I believe is part of my Goodreads reading challenge, or it was one of the nominees in the Goodreads Choice Award. Yep, I was going to say show for some reason. So I saw both. We'll hopefully read both. I have a couple of the books from that challenge, but I mentioned them in the beginning of the year when I was announcing the challenge. But one that I decided to add, well, two of them, is Pinese, I think. I wasn't sure if I was going to read it, but a lot of you were telling me it's actually really good, so I did end up adding it to my list. And also Hench, which I wasn't planning on reading, but again, a few of you told me that you really enjoyed it. It is a sci-fi book, which I'm a huge fan of, and you told me it was pretty short, so decided to add it last second. I think that's mostly it. So now let's just go through the ones that I've added in the last couple of weeks that I'm interested in reading. Ooh, just kidding, I forgot one. A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I'm planning on doing another one of the giving authors a last chance, since I didn't enjoy Uprooted by her, and I want to see if it's just that book that didn't work for me, or if it's just the author in general that doesn't work for me. Okay, so Brandon Sanderson came out with this, I think it's a short story called The Original, which I don't know anything else about it except that there's the name Brandon Sanderson on it, and yeah, I'm easy like that. I also have The Vanished Birds, which I believe is also part of my Goodreads reading challenge. I added a couple last minute, so that's why I'm like unsure about some categories, but the reviews were positive. I'm also planning on doing another version in June for Pride's Month of LGBTQ+, like Read the Rainbow kind of week. And I added All Boys Aren't Blue because I don't think I've read any books where the main character is a Black queer teenager. I feel like that's something that is lacking. So now I will be able to read that one. It is YA, but I mean, for some reason, that hat makes me think my camera is focusing on it every time. But I've heard great things, so even though it's YA, it might not be 100% my cup of tea, but I've heard that it's great, so I wanted to attempt it so that way I can add it to list of recommendations. I also have Stamped because I have read something else by the author a couple months ago, and I wanted to read more. That's just his newest work, so added that. I do have Anxious People, but I think I mentioned it in that Goodreads video, but I feel like I'm excited for that one because I liked one very much by him, A Man Called Hoover, and I didn't care for Beartown, so I want to see again if it was just a one-hit wonder or, it was just Beartown that wasn't for me. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings because I realized my library had that. I mean, I feel like we've all heard that book, and I have been wanting to read more books by women of color specifically. I read Kindred, which was amazing, and I will continue to rave about this book forever. I have actually a couple books from the author, so I need to read those soon. But yes, I was excited when I saw that one was there. And a nonfiction, because I do have a few, but some of them I mentioned a while ago, like Why We Sleep, but I have yet to get around to reading that one. Eventually I will. And I have Hood Feminism, which I have been meaning to read. It's been on my list for a little while. A lot of people were raving about it whenever I was mentioning it as a nominees on the Goodreads Choice Award. And I have 20 weeks still. It's been on my list for a few months, and I still have 20 weeks to wait. That's why I'm mentioning these, but who knows when I will get around to reading them. One that is a new release that I want to read, I'm hoping you will have an opinion. I think it might be the first book by the author, but I feel like there's already a lot of hype. I've seen it a lot, so there's probably a lot of marketing behind it. Every Last Fear by Alex Finley. Have you read it so far? I feel like it just came out, but I do have the audiobook on my waiting list. So far, they're telling me that I have 25 weeks to wait, but my library only has 2 copies so far, so they will most likely add a couple more, and I won't have to wait so long. But yeah, 25 weeks would be... I mean, I guess I would have it in time for, end of summer fall whenever I tend to read mystery thrillers the most, but hopefully before that. Otherwise, I feel like a lot of them are books that I've mentioned that I'm planning on reading. Oh, actually one that I didn't. I've been wanting to read more books with the team of like libraries because I want to do a video, like recommendation video with that topic. Let me know if you're interested. But I have seen good ratings on the Library of the Unwritten. Let me know if you have read it or if you have an opinion on it, because I want to know if I should put it higher or lower on my TBR, but it's definitely on there for whenever I am ready. Ooh, I almost forgot one more book that I have on my shelf that I'm scared of it, so I got the audiobook for it, and it is Revelation Space by Alastair Reynolds, which is a hard sci-fi. I'm super scared of that author for some reason. Hard sci-fi, blockage, brain. So I wanted to get the audiobook because I have a few of his books on my shelf and I just need to start. And I feel like whenever I get around to listening to it, if I like the writing style or something, I will just binge read all of them. Am I the only one that has this issue? Because I feel a little cuckoo right now explaining this a lot, but yes. Ooh, one more book. An author that I haven't read anything from yet, but I am planning to, wink wink, 1,000 Splendid Suns and The Kite Runner, I think. I have the audiobooks on my waiting list. Wink wink, kind of spoiler, trying to get around to reading his books just because there's so much hype. But I feel like I'm going to cry, which is why I just never picked them up. Are they contemporary or like historical fiction? But yeah, I've heard that his books are really, really quotable. And I'm just curious to see what the hype is all about. So whenever I'm ready to shed a few tears, I will get around to reading and or listening to that one. I think I have one of the two on my shelf. Yes, these are the books that you can look forward to hearing my review, hopefully in the upcoming weeks. Some of them maybe months. Let me know which one I should put higher on my TBR or lower, or just replace them with something else. Let me know. Thumbs up, subscribe. I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in my upcoming videos very soon. Bye.